Let it go, y'all. If any of you are holding on to grudges, hurt, and pain from something that someone's done to you, I challenge you today to let it go. I'm on the treadmill and just wanted to chime in and give you some words of inspiration. Let it go. What did I mean by that? The devil's out there causing a lot of distractions and division. And his objective is to distract us with a bunch of his lies. And as we get distracted by this, we start forming our own opinions and perspectives about other people. When I'm talking about the division, he's dividing up relationships, friendships, families, organizations, where folk are trying to come together in agreement. He plants his seeds, his lies, his seeds of division, and he'll have you holding on to a matter, holding on to a grudge, holding on to an opinion about something that really doesn't matter. I had a colleague share with me a position that she was in where she had a friendship for over 25 years and they're no longer speaking. And I see that kind of stuff across the board where folk are no longer speaking and there's grudges being held and this person did this to me and that person did that to me, and so I'm not going to let it go. But you have to let it go and release it out of your own heart. And you have to be open to forgive. Present that olive branch. If they reject you, it's okay. That's on them. But you have to forgive and let it go for your own heart to avoid dis-ease. Your body wants to be calm, cool, collected, in a homeostatic state. And grudges and anger and unforgiveness thwarts that. So number one, letting it go is best for your own health, physical health and mental health. And number two, which I believe is the most important, the Lord commands us to forgive one another. If you can't give grace to those who are human, who make mistakes, if you can't give grace to them, then how do you expect the Lord to give you grace for all of your foolishness? And so you'll find yourself holding on to grudges, but I challenge you, let it go. You'll hold on to grudges and you'll find yourself being the only one holding on to that, whereas the person you're mad at, they're going on. They don't even know why you're upset. We would like to control other people into being the way we want them to be. But we can't control others. We have to give them grace to be human. If you were raised dysfunctionally, or that person you know has been raised dysfunctionally, they may not have the capability of coming to you and, apologizing or whatever. Be the bigger person. Remember what Michelle Obama said. Rise above them. When they go low, you go high. But don't do it out of pride and spite. Do it out of the goodness of your heart, because the Lord has given you grace and mercy and has forgiven you for all of your shortcomings. You do the same for that other person that you feel has hurt you. We're obligated to do that for one another. We have to extend each other that grace. If you've been raised dysfunctionally and you're used to seeing a lot of arguing and strife and stress, maybe your parents didn't get along, maybe you had parents that were not there and you were left with guardians who were not respectful of one another. They weren't respectful of their family and loved ones, and there was a lot of strife and division, arguing, fighting. When you've been raised under that type of dysfunction, you live your life day to day that way because you're used to it. Makes you feel comfortable. You can't live your life without getting into it with someone or having something or a judgment against someone that they did a wrong to you. And again, it's your perceived wrong. That's your perceived wrong. Unless you are in that other person's head and you can truly say you know the intent of that person's heart, you don't know what that person's intent was. A lot of us like to think that we know it all. So we have a sense of arrogance and we make assumptions. Oh no, this person's like that. I know them. They're like this and they're like that. And yeah, the Lord doesn't want us to be dumb. He doesn't want us to be vulnerable to the devil's devices. No, we do have to be wise. He tells us to be wise as a serpent even. But he also requires us to forgive. So how do you make that connection? Again, I challenge you to let it go. Let all of that junk go. You don't know what's going on in that other person's life. You don't know what's going on with them. And the same thing that you're getting upset with them about, you've probably done time and time again to someone else. But yet you want the Lord to give you grace and mercy. Yeah, the Lord says to forgive. You may not forget what they've done. We hold on to certain things because it's a defense mechanism. We don't want to make the mistake of getting hurt again. So we build up that wall. But you don't have to give your life over to that person. You may not trust that person ever again, and that's fine. You don't have to. But you do have to give them that grace. Because probably the same thing that you're upset with that person about, you've probably did to them 1,000 times over. Or someone else, if not to them. So if you want the Lord to forgive you, and so that you don't walk around with a bunch of mental health mess and physical health mess. You see those grudges and all of that? It causes dis-ease. Now we got a lot of other factors. Our diet, stuff in the air, vices that you take on. It's a lot of other things that causes dis-ease too. So let's not add on to that with holding on to grudges. I challenge you today, if someone has did you a wrong, find it in your heart to forgive them and let it go. So I'm just going to say one last thing, y'all. Hey, we may not be able to forget what they did, and a lot of times holding on to certain things helps you to make sure in the future they don't get over on you again. I get it. Holding on and not forgetting can turn into a grudge. And that grudge doesn't do anything to you but eat away at you. Wherever you are, the devil is right there waiting for you to take something the wrong way, or for someone to say something to just rub you the wrong way. And you don't allow that person to be human. And yet you want the Lord to give you that grace and that allowance. And even on top of that, you expect others to give you that allowance too. Hey, that's what arrogance does. I can dish it out, but I can't take it. And that is a low self-esteem quality. Weakness, inability to withstand the fiery darts of the enemy, because he's going to toss them out there. And if you're Christian, you know you're going to go through tests and trials, and those tests and trials are going to be with people. So why fail the test by allowing that enemy to use that person and hold you down? And that's what grudges do. They hold you down. Like I mentioned, mentally, in your physical being, in your spirit life, your emotions, all of that. It just holds you back and holds you down. And it takes away your character. So what I've had to learn is I had to give grace to others. Because I look at it and say, hey, I'm not perfect. There was a time when I used somebody else, when I did somebody else wrong, and I wanted their grace and forgiveness. Most importantly, I wanted the grace and forgiveness of God. Psychological stronghold, let it go. Those ego entanglements, let it go. Stop trying to manipulate people with your wrath. It doesn't work because the Lord gives certain people discernment and they can see right through it. Let it go. Let go of the grudges. Do yourself some good. Forgive. Don't mean you have to be buddy-buddy. Don't mean you have to be calling them up and being all buddy-buddy with the person. Doesn't mean that at all. Hey, you may not even trust that person with your heart or your feelings, but it's okay. You've let it go and you're in good standings with the Most High God. And that's what's the most important. I hope I could share some word of wisdom with you all today. Let it go.